everybody? Welcome into another episode of the Celtics Talk podcast here on the NBC Sports Boston podcast network. And Eddie House, the Boston Celtics are up 3-0 on the Brookly Nets. Some of us might have seen this coming, maybe not this quick of a 3-0 lead. But as we digest the Celtics being up 3 games, so looking to potentially sweep this series, what stands out most about what you've seen from the Celtics?
Well, it's kind of confusing because, you know, we talked about it before, and I was like, hey, I don't want to play the Brooklyn Nets off rip because I thought it was going to be a deep series. It goes 6 or 7 games, and we'll prevail to win that game and move forward. But the way that they are shellacking these guys and whooping these guys and have taken their spirit, that's the surprising thing to me. I would never expected to see Kevin Durant play like he played tonight. You go to the corner, not take any shots, got 11 shots. Look like they're quitting on their team. Not on their team, excuse me. Look like they're quitting on the coach.
Yeah.
Like they don't have the trust of their they don't trust the coach. They don't trust him to make the right moves to get them in the right position so they can be successful. And that could be demoralizing, especially when everything that you're trying to do does not work.
And it was crazy. We were sitting here laughing because Steve Nash comes to the podium after the game, and he's like talking about everything but what actually happened in the game. He's like, fasting, and KD had to play a lot of minutes down the stretch. And I can't imagine if I can barely play tennis. I mean, come on. It feels like the Nets just have sort of waved the white flag. And it's baffling to me. How much of an influence has the coaching been? Like, we've seen Ime kind of find ways to whether it's halftime adjustments or just getting the guys to stay to the game plan versus Steve Nash, who doesn't seem to be making adjustments.
Well, I think it starts at the beginning of the year, getting the trust of your superstars. And I'm not sure if those superstars trust Steve Nash to do the right thing, or maybe it's been the body of work that they've been seeing over the season to make them lose that trust. Maybe they went in trusting at first, and then they see like, oh, this is not the guy. We're kind of stuck with him until the end of the season, where it's totally different with the Celtics. The superstars believe in Ime, and he believes in them. And once you have your superstars believing in you, then the rest of the guys are easy to fall in and understand your message and listen to everything and go out and execute your game plan how you want it to do. But it has to go with the stars have to be and the coach have to be together on the same page.
Tell me about that, because obviously at the start of the year, Ime comes in and he's got very distinct things he wants to do. The switching defense and, making that a priority and offensively moving the basketball. But he did have to get everybody to buy in. I mean, 18-21 start to where we are now, where the Celtics look like a legitimate title contender. How much of that praise deserves to go to Ime for getting everybody to buy into it?
A whole lot of it. And I think it has a lot to do as well as he inherited a team that has young superstars. These aren't guys that have been around the block that have their egos, that have a championship, that have scoring titles, that have MVP finals. He doesn't have those guys. He has guys that are hungry, that are trying to get there. He comes from the Popovich lineage. Yeah. So that carries a lot of weight with players. We all understand how great of a coach Pop is, and you had to be a certain type of player to play for the San Antonio Spurs. Only certain people can be a Spur, okay? And he was one. He's a champion. He's a guy who actually helped coach with him as well. So he gets a lot of respect from the players because of that already. He comes in with that cachet. So then when you have something that you lay down and the guys are young and they're hungry and they see that this could actually work, then it's super easy to just bring it together. Not easy job that he's doing. He's doing a fantastic job. It's not easy what he's doing, but he's done it because his players believe in him, because of what he can, because he believes in the players. And I mean, look at the results. I mean, I think he should be coach of the year.
Yeah, and honestly, I think if Monty Williams had won that award last year, that the voters would have been easily to kind of go for and lean in that direction. It is a regular season award, so they won't get any bonus points for what he's doing now. But it's clear, like, this team is just on a completely different level. I do think part of the credit goes to Brad Stevens, right? Mm-hmm. I think one of the things that has really jumped out to me, especially in this series, is now he goes to the bench. Grant Williams, Derek White, these are all guys that he trusts. Even Peyton Pritchard coming in and to defend. Like, these guys are willing defenders. How much of it, when you're putting together a team, is just everybody's got to be able to pull the same rope and be able to trust each other? It feels like they've built this team specifically like that there would be no letdown with that defense.
Well, I think Brad Stevens and Ime have a relationship, and you have to have that relationship so what his message is going to Brad, and Brad's message is going to him. They're bouncing ideas off each other, and they're like, okay, this is the personnel that fits with what we just came up with. And they've done a fantastic job of getting that type of personnel. I think that Derek White trade was getting him. That was huge. I mean, getting rid. I forget his name. Schroeder. There you go.
You've already.
I do not. Getting rid of Schroeder was the best thing that happened to this team. He bogged this team down, and once he left, it seemed like a whole energy shift happened for this team. Guys were starting to find their rhythm. Guys were playing a whole lot better. Their defense got a whole lot better. And overall, just as a team, it seemed like the team morale went up.
Yeah. All right, Jayson Tatum.
Star.
I mean, where are we putting him? Like, there's some people who are coming out on Twitter now and they're being like, maybe he's passing Kevin Durant in this series, which doesn't seem fair because, like, KD is still KD. And I wonder if they had a Joe Harris, if they had other pieces, if they had a healthy Ben Simmons actually out on the court, if we'd think differently about this series. Certainly in this stage, like, Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown have been light years ahead of Kyrie and KD. But, like, for me, it's the two-way impact. Like, Tatum is doing it on both ends now at a and I hate to throw these words around, but, like, at a Kawhi-like level right now. Like, I feel like it's okay to have that conversation. Now, when we do the top 5 conversation, there's always like 10 guys in that conversation. But, like, I think he's in there now. Like, I think what we saw over the final 3 months and what, I feel more definitive about that statement based on where this goes in the postseason. But, like, damn, he's been good.
I know it's not too many guys I would name that I can name that I say I would want over him right now. I think he's playing fantastic basketball, and it's on both ends. But, again, I think the whole team is buying in on the both ends thing. And he is – the light is shining brighter on him because he is the superstar. He is the guy that's getting all the points. He's scoring. But Jaylen Brown is right there scoring. I think them two guys are both doing it at almost at equal levels, but Jayson Tatum is just a notch above it, which is not a bad thing because I think – he's a superstar, Jayson Tatum. He has reached superstar status. And I believe right now Jaylen Brown's a star, and he's trying to emerge and catch up. And I think they push each other. I think Jaylen Brown pushes Tatum, and I think Tatum pushes Jaylen. And I think that dynamic, it was crazy that people wanted to break them up at one point. I think that dynamic is just going to – they're so young. And, just think how long we could have these guys. And, you put the right pieces, continue to keep the right pieces around them. And, it'd be deadly for years. I
think about it when they got Derek White. Part of the reason they wanted him, he's got multiple years left on his contract. You have this core. You just re-signed Marcus Smart, Rob Williams. You still have the ability to sort of tinker on the fringes and maybe add another kind of impact piece this summer. I was sitting here saying, okay, maybe they get to like round 2 and they bow to the Bucks, but at least the progress is made. Everybody takes a step forward. Are we in full championship mode now? Based on the way they played?
I think you got to be. I think anytime you make the playoffs, you should have championship aspirations. Now, realistic, outsiders, could be realistic. But when you're in the trenches, you cannot be like, okay, I don't think we're going to make it to the championship. No, you have to believe that you can because anything can happen. You win a game here, a series here, and then next thing you know, you got a team that ends up getting some injuries happen. We've seen it time and time again. Look at how Toronto ended up getting that championship. There was injuries throughout the time that they were playing. So, this is full championship mode, and they should not be thinking anything else except hoisting the Larry O'Brien trophy, putting another banner up there in the Garden, and guys getting rings on their fingers. You
mentioned it on our postgame show. You sort of said, when you guys had to go through Detroit, Doc's call to you guys was sort of this is the team that has been the roadblock. They've won it. How much confidence does it give you a team when you go through someone like that? Because my big thing has always been having to go through the Nets could just sort of accelerate Jayson and Jaylen. That all of a sudden, not only are you already confident, in your mind you're thinking championship, but now you've taken down guys who have done it. And I thought that there would be a benefit to potentially going through them. Can this spur them even more going forward?
I think so, and I think they don't need any other motivation than what they already have from within. I think they're extremely motivated, and if you hear them talk, and they're so mature beyond their years, you hear these guys talk, it sounds like they're 15-year vets and they're 33 years old. But they have enough motivation inside. I don't think that they need anything outside that say, oh, yeah, this is helping propel us. I think that they already looked at the Nets we're going to beat these guys. We have the belief that we're going to beat them. Now, I didn't think that they would beat them like how they are beating them, But you're going to have to go through a team like this. You know, like we went through, I remember Doc was saying, hey, we got to go through LeBron James. You know, he was putting a big emphasis on the Cavs, LeBron. And so we got done with them. Then he's like, well, Detroit, they've always been there. We're going to have to get through there. We ended up getting through them. And now we're in the championship, and this, you know, we really believe it. And that's all they have to do. They got to just go series by series. Don't get too far ahead. Don't look too far ahead. Close this one out first. Close this one out. See who we match up with, because we don't know how that series is going to go with Milwaukee, even though they looked fantastic the last game in Game 3. We don't know how that series is going to go. See how that ends up. Play whoever we have to play to our strengths, and from just one series at a time. And when you look up, you'll be in the conference finals. And if you're in the conference finals, you win that, you know where you go after that. And first one to four.
Yeah, it's just wild. I think your first game you and Abby did up in Minnesota, they were like 3 games under 500.
Horrible.
And that was actually one of the more depressing losses of the year against the JV Wolves. Have you ever seen anything like this turnaround? No,
and it was a trip because it doesn't even look like the same team. Doesn't even like the same anything like
right.
That.
It feels like another season ago.
Yeah, it was like nothing is the same. Nothing it just doesn't add up. But I can say this: the one thing is that they did show that they will get leads, that they showed in flashes that they could play. The way that they're playing right now, they showed that in flashes, in spurts, and then they just couldn't sustain it. They have found a way since then to sustain this and close out games, and I think that's also with the emergence of Jayson Tatum. He has become the closer, and then Jaylen Brown is like, well, hey, man, if I could do that too, and then he's the closer. So now you got 2 guys that can actually close games that are two-way players. And then all the Peyton Pritchard staying ready, coming in. I mean, that was a big 10 points in the first half. He didn't score in the second half, but huge 10 points in the first half for the Celtics. So I just think everybody's stepping up, man. Everybody has a belief, and they believe in each other. That's the most important thing.
And it's just crazy to me. My one hesitation coming into the postseason was, could they win crunch time games? They were so bad at it during the regular season. They faltered late. The KG retirement day, losing to the Mavs. Then they had a chance for that 1 seed, and they fall to Miami late. I'm thinking, you know, maybe this is just their Achilles heel. Like they can blow teams out, and when it's clicking, it looks great. But what happens when things get tight? Then they go out and win that game 1 on the final play, and you're like, oh, wow. Then they come back from 17 down in game 2. I'm like, oh, wow, they're winning that way now. And even now going tonight in game 3, on the road in a hostile environment against a desperate team, and you find a way to win. Like, all of a sudden, the way I think about this team is completely different.
Yeah,
the way that, again, it's just a completely different mindset, even from the team that was kicking ass at the end of the season.
And think about it, like defensively, they're all connected. They all got each other's back. You might see a guy take the wrong on a rotation, go to the wrong guy, but somebody covers him up, and it looked like nothing ever happened. If you don't understand, if you're not if you don't really understand how rotations work and stuff like that, you might not notice that he ran to the wrong guy and somebody had somebody's back and they made it look like nothing ever happened. But that's just how they are connected right now. And it's even on offense. Think about that last play. Al Horford got the rebound. He hit it to Derek White. Derek White hit it up to Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown dribble hit Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart hit Tatum. Everybody touched the basketball.
It's wild. It's everything that Ime ever wanted. An amazing defensive possession leading to a possession where everybody touches it and leads to the best possible outcome of a
your
layup.
Best player.
Touching the ball, which should have never happened on a final play.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's wild. All right, let's end on this. There was some talk about Celtics are, at least in this, like, you know, let's say the last 5 years, like maybe the best defense in the NBA. Does that come through? Do you look at that team and go, wow, that is just on a different level than what we've seen in recent years?
Well, I think so, because most of the time you have 1 or 2 guys that are really, really great perimeter defenders, or you have a real great interior defender that makes up for some poor perimeter defenders. But this team has everybody that comes in. We seen Grant Williams guard Kyrie Irving. We see him guard any kind of big. We see him, and then you see Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown, those guys switching off on KD or guarding whoever they have to guard. Al Horford at times, he was switching off on Luka when they played Dallas. Robert Williams switching out on point guards and having to guard point guards. I mean, Peyton Pritchard even battling down in the post and not having to get help. I mean, Marcus Smart, the defensive player of the year, speaks for itself. This is a unique team because we haven't seen a team who has so much defensive depth and so much versatility from top to bottom. I think that's what makes them so special.
It's crazy. And again, there's a wrestling move called the Boston Crab.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so I think that's what they're going to start calling this defense, because they have made Kyrie and KD submit in this series. They are sick of being hounded all over the place. They understand that they don't trust their teammates around them. The Celtics have made the Nets submit. They just have to get to the finish line, and then we can start talking about round 2. I still get a little hesitant. I know no team has come back from 3-0, but I don't want to like tempt.
You don't want to don't put that energy out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Just go finish it and take
the
care of
energy is already shifted. We don't need to mess with the energy. All right, I need everybody to go like, subscribe, check us out on the YouTube page, and we'll see what happens in Game 4 on Monday. We'll see you next time on the Celtics Talk podcast.